Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Mr. Z was talking to himself for like the first, I don't know, 2 minutes. Wow. Look, and y'all selling me out already. Y'all, y'all in the comments selling me out already. Oh man. Okay, so I was playing with some thoughts. Well, not the thoughts on the street. Well, not the thoughts that wear heels. Well, not the thoughts that's in your mind that wear heels, but actual like concepts. So I was playing around with some concepts um that were inspired by Diallo. Diallo is a brother that's often on Dr. Jared Ball's channel, the Black Power Media, and it was something that he said referring to black men, and this concept of beast of burden, right? So of course we've all heard this beast of burden before, but that black people, primarily black men, and he said primarily black men, were brought to America to be the beast of burden. And this was as a response. This was him as a response to, when you're saying something or you're giving people something to think about, or you're giving brothers or sisters something to think about, and inevitably somebody comes up with like, well, where's the action, right? And he called them action jacks, or something along those lines. And it's always a what are we doing right type thing. And what Diallo was arguing is this comes from the fact that black men were brought to America to be property, right? To be beasts of burden, slavery, right? And so how black people have continued this is by having this somewhat ire towards other black people, primarily black men, who think and talk and pontificate. And Diallo gave the example of Noam Chomsky. No one jumps up at Noam Chomsky and says, "You just all talk," or "Where's the action?" Right? Where you name your black scholar, and I argue there's not one of them, particularly a man, who hasn't at least had that implied to him, suggested to him, or overtly said to him, like, "What are you doing?" Right? Where's the action? And we what's the solutions? And I'm adding this in, the what's the solutions thing, right? So and once again, it's black men being the beast of burden, and no one really appreciating black men's thought process, and how black men think, and what black men think, and what black men feel, right? I would like to direct y'all to some of the concepts of black women saying they're no longer protesting for black men because black men aren't even showing up for their own protests, right? For protests over their own lives, right? And no one ever considered that maybe black men are over that, right? In majority, or at least significant minority. Maybe black men see that as fruitless post 1970s, right? Maybe black men don't get the social dividends from protesting the way black women do. Maybe this society responds to being black plus male differently than they do black plus female. And maybe a bunch of black men protesting is like, yeah, that's cute, get out of here, right? Compared to black plus female, you get to tap into society's regard towards women and the feminine in a way that black men just don't. So protesting might mean something for you where it doesn't mean as much for black men. Have you ever considered that? Right? Also, this concept of beast of burden, we can see that in black men and how black men in their leisure time is criticized. Right? Because you're always supposed to be working. Right? And you mix that with capitalism and hustle culture and this gig economy, and you're supposed, and we've heard it from multiple men, right? White, black, and otherwise, if you ain't putting 60 hours a week at work, number one. We've heard more recently, a few months ago, from another brother online, get rich or die trying, right? And I don't know, there's no I don't know if there's a statement that more encapsulates or better encapsulates being a beast of burden more than get rich or die trying. I'll sleep when I die. These are comments you hear floating around the black community ad nauseum, particularly coming out of the mouth of black men or coming out of the mouth of black women directed towards black men. Right? What did Nas say? Sleep is the cousin of death. You have these ideas that float around the black community that just emphasize black men being the beast of burden. Name your favorite rapper and let him talk long enough or listen to his album, and eventually it's going to come up to him working his butt off for children, not really, for mom, right? Putting mom in a house. My mom never owned a house. I'm the one who put my mom in her first home, right? Being a beast of burden. Everybody talking about holding the black community on their back. Are you really, though? Do you really want to have that conversation? But it's not by the numbers, right? Not by the who has more businesses, not by the who starts more businesses, not by the who earns more money, not by the who puts more hours in the work. These other people that's claiming that the other side, the XX chromosome that keep on saying you know, they're the backbone of the black community, not by the numbers. So in other words, you feel like you're the backbone of the black community. So are you saying you're the beast of burden? Because none of the numbers actually show that, right? And so, you know, Diallo, he probably wouldn't agree with me being a part of Black Manosphere. Actually, Dr. Jared Ball and Diallo and them, they take jabs at us. They mock the word gynocracy. And on a side note, and this is just a bit of advice for some of the brothers, we can't cheapen the word gynocracy. We need to be very diligent in how we use the word gynocracy and who we use it around and how we explain to them what it means. Because I would gather that some of us that are maybe just a little bit less disciplined and more liberal with the way we use words, we're throwing this word out towards everyone and it's cheapening the word. Now, I'm not saying that these people weren't looking for a reason to cheapen the word anyway. That is not what I'm saying, right? Once again, that is not what I'm saying. One more time, that is not what I am saying. What I am saying, though, is that we got to be careful how we use the word, because if you're just throwing it around for any slightest infraction, or if you're insulting you know, other black men and saying they you know, they're part of that gynocracy, or they're not trying to fight against the gynocracy. First of all, they don't even know what you mean. Secondly, when they look up what you mean and it's just out of context and you might have used it, you know, just too liberally, right? And I want us to be a bit careful with that. That's all I'll say to that. I'm not about lecturing down to other brothers. Half of y'all are older than me anyway, right? So like, I just wanted to be a little, just a smidge careful, right? Because I want it to be a gut punch when you use it. And even if you don't explain it, I want it to actually hit when we use the word gynocracy, right? So it's just something to consider. Just, you know, yeah. And can you guys hear me well? You know, I'm just making sure because I haven't seen the comments move. I'm kind of glancing over as I'm driving. But back to the topic at hand. So being the beast of burden, and this is just a perspective that I'm offering on what I've witnessed throughout my life, what I've heard, things I think that we all have witnessed and heard, that speak to black men being seen as the consummate beast of burden, right? And that's like your role, right? to the point where you can't actually be, a thinker, right? You don't get to pontificate. And I think that might be another reason why we like, being in the presence of other brothers, particularly barbershop talk, right? Where you get to banter and you get to pontificate and you get to go into your tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, right? I think maybe that's another reason why we enjoy that space, because we get to do all of that and not have it mocked, right? Not be mocked for, your tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, or not being mocked, or maybe you are, but it's always usually in light fun, right? But you're able to pontificate and think about things and play with ideas and concepts, right? And not be told, so what's the solution? And so what are we gonna do about it, right? And as Diallo said, and as Dr. Jared Ball was saying, um, and Geechee, a lot of these people say that, and they've never actually considered what either guerrilla warfare looks like. They've never been in no shootout. Some of these people ain't even, don't own a gun, ain't never popped a gun, and like none of that. But these be the first people that start telling you what's the solution, right? Because black men are beasts of burden. They don't get to just think and consider things, right? You got to always be moving, right? What did Ed say? These people just want to give you busy work, right? And on that note, you know, much of the Black Manosphere, we haven't necessarily lifted a finger, and we already got things moving. If Tiffany Cross is mentioning Kevin Samuels after his death, guess what that means? That means you got things moving. That's a news anchor on public news. I mean, excuse me, cable news. That's a news anchor on cable news mentioning a dead black man that came out of the Black Manosphere, out of black men talking. Ain't lift a finger, right? Look how many PhDs we have in this space. Now, yes, they are writers, and yes, they maybe sometimes give lecture, and I've read multiple articles from Green Gorilla at this point. Yeah, right. But this thing of black men got to go out and go, you know, pretty much be what white men were between the late 15th century up until about today, pretty much being just chocolate dip white men to get our point across. Yeah, no. And that's what's always levied at black men. Once, side note, once I was on the Radical Latinos channel over a year ago, maybe at this point, if not a year ago, over a year ago, and I had that levied to me. What have black men built? What are black men doing? Blah blah blah. And as I've said to you guys before, and it was an Afro Latina. She has her own channel. Can't remember her name though. Yeah, but as I said to her, so who are black men supposed to go grape and pillage? And are you okay with the blood money? Now, of course, she started copping pleas. Well, you don't got to do it like that. Oh, yeah, we do. If you want us to turn you into upper middle class and rich white women, oh yeah, yes, we do. We're gonna have to literally do the same thing as them and just be bigger and badder at it. Beast of burden. And by the way, how's that working for a lot of young white men right now? Yikes. How's that marriage rate looking for young white men right now? How's that child birth rate looking for young white men right now? Their forefathers did all of this grape and pillage for centuries, and yet the European birth rate all across Europe is what? 1.5, 1.6. Centuries of grape and pillage. Right? This concept of beast of burden when it comes to black men has to die. And that means that certain black people are going to have to let that go. Because, yes, it's a holdover of slavery and Jim Crow. And yes, black people have internalized some of that also. Right? So what's the solutions? What are we going to do about it? We're doing something about it now. People act like providing information is not doing something. Putting things in a context is not doing something. Right? Your son being in the barbershop and hearing other people talk isn't doing something. Taking your nephew to go get his hair cut and him being in there isn't doing something. Having that conversation with your younger male cousin isn't doing something. Giving someone something to consider isn't doing something. Because we damn near turned black men into like what people used to say about women back in the day. Right? You should be seen and not heard. Why don't y'all just tell black men to go back in the kitchen? Right? Just tell black men go back in the kitchen, go cook, go make you a sandwich. Slap black men on the ass and tell them go make you a sandwich, because that's how y'all acting. Right? Tell them, hey, you're supposed to be seen, not heard. Why are you talking? Go work. Go, and like the young lady said on what that was, Twitter. Go work yourself to death. Put me on your life insurance and leave me that money, please and thank you. I need you to be off this planet by 50, 55. I can only tolerate you for so long. Right? And for those of you that don't know, it's a quote. Dr. Johnson put it up a couple years ago of a young lady on Twitter who said, "I miss the days when men would die and leave you their life insurance money." Yeah, that's real. Yes, it was a black woman. Right? Because once again, black men are the beast of burden. You were brought to this country to work and die. And yes, some black people, namely black women, think that's your natural state. That's what you're supposed to do. Right? Even when we talk about the concept of protection and provision, right? Beast of burden. That's why they see you as so interchangeable, because you're just a tool. You're just another hammer. I don't cry when my hammer, when something happens to my hammer. right? When I bend it or something happens to my hammer, when I lose my hammer, when the handle falls off, I don't cry. I just go get another hammer, right? It's just another tool, right? That's why you have certain people, Chrissy, right, that talk about black men aren't building, black men provide this and that, and the black men in her life are doing that. They're in support of her. They're full in support of her because you other black men aren't being what I consider the best beast of burden. You're supposed to be doing for the collective of black women, regardless. Protect me and my emotions, and my sensibilities, and my beauty standard. Go grape and pillage the planet and force me onto other people as the beauty standard. That's your burden, right? They say the white man's burden, the black man's burden is to satisfy every delusional idea and concept that comes into these weirdos' minds. That's the black man's burden. Be whatever non-black men tell you to be, whether that's white women, white men, black women, non-black people, right? Be the charismatic cheerleader. Be the 12-inch phallus, right? Be the old wise man on some Morgan Freeman thing. That's your job, black men. Oh, and by the way, and have other people discount everything you're doing and saying on some either that's what you're supposed to be or just completely ignoring it and acting like you ain't do what you just did. Oh yeah, that part too. Right? Because you don't actually reward your beast, right? You don't actually reward your beast. You don't reward your beast. That ox, you don't reward the ox for doing its job. You don't reward the mule for doing its job. The nerve of these people for talking about muling for black men, the absolute unmitigated gall, the gumption of you all talk about muling. I will give y'all credit. Y'all beat black men to the punch in using that word, but the gumption of you, mainly loser black women, using the word muling like you're muling over black men. Have y'all ever been to a protest for a black man's life? Probably not. Have you ever advocating for a black man or a black boy that's not yours, not related to you? Probably not. Have you ever said kind words about black men in the presence of bitter, angry black women or non-black people? Probably not. Have you looked out for black men at work or gave a black man a warning? Hey, they watching you, bro. Probably not. Right? And you talk about muling. Muling? What? Only one of us was truly brought to the US. Oh, out of every demographic in the United States of America, only one demographic was truly brought to the US to be mules. Only one, and it was black men. I'm sorry, black women, you don't get to play victimhood Olympics on this one. You don't get the gold medal on this one. Sorry. Right? And the reason why all of this matters is because black people have also internalized the concept of black men being the beast of burden. right? Property. Property of some kinky white woman, of the white corporate overlords, of some, same-sex loving non-black man, property of black women, property. No different than an ox or a mule or a horse or a cow. And all these people BLM your suffering. I'm just going to turn that into a phrase. I'm going to try to spread that phrase around. They just try to BLM your suffering. What's BLM your suffering? Um, Using the blood, the lives, and the memories of black men for the advancement of everyone but black men. Right? That's what BLM should really stand for. Blood, lives, and memories of black men for the advancement of everyone but black men, particularly straight black men, particularly heterosexual black men. Right? So you're the beast of burden, not just in a physical sense where people want you to work and die so you can leave them the life insurance money and so they can live the next, quarter century of their life, 30 years of their life. How many of us, Grams was out of here by 55, 60. Grams lived until 85, 87, 90. These people want to recreate that. Go get you a nice job, work until you die, make sure I get the life insurance, and make sure you have a clause in there where, the house gets paid off or whatever. I'm not trying to pay this house off when you're gone. I can't afford it, first of all. Right? But it's not just beast of burden in a physical sense. It's also beast of burden, like I said earlier. That's why I brought up Chrissy. Beast of burden, protect the sensibilities of these fragile, delusional women. The ones with all the insecurities, right? The ones that tell you at their advanced age that you made them insecure. Oh boy. Right. Yeah. Right. What Cat Williams said, it's called self-esteem. Right. But that's also your burden, black men, is to protect the sensibilities of delusional little girls in grown women's bodies. Catty, mean, sassy, delusional, argumentative, a-hole little girls in grown women's bodies. That's also your burden. Right? We don't even need to mention your burden, especially for the brothers that are over 6 feet or that are darker skin tone and all of that. Your burden is to make sure that no matter where you go, non-black people feel a sense of comfort when you're around, because your presence alone is threatening. God forbid you're not just tall, but you're like Charles built. Oh God. Every 5 seconds you got to reiterate to them how non-threatening you are. Alexa, cue up the fake ass courtesy laugh at some corny jokes, please. right? To fight for civil rights laws and then essentially have non-black people and even some black people from the diaspora, but mainly non-black people, non-black men, use those civil rights laws and statutes and then turn around and defecate on them. Shout out to the Asians fighting affirmative action. I'm just saying, right? And thank you for the super chat. And KW Dawn says the birth rate for Europeans will not go up no matter what they do. The book, the birth death by Ben Wattenberg sounded that alarm in 1987. Yeah, and I've been watching a lot about that recently, right? The overall global birth rate in developing countries and developed countries, right? I'm weary of even saying developed countries. Let's put that in quotes, air quotes, developed countries, right? I don't know how developed you are when you have some of the best doctors on the planet, some of the best surgeons on the planet, and your healthcare system though sucks because for profit and screw you if you're poor. Go down the sidewalk, right? But Big Kev, it is our burden. And Big Kev says it's not our job to save humanity from themselves. Anyone claiming otherwise is either naive or a liar. But sir, it is our job. That is exactly black men's burden. White men's burden is to conquer, grape, pillage, and rule, right? And be the leadership class of the planet. Black men's burden is to be on the bottom of the hierarchy and hold it up and don't complain, right? And for the love of God, stop doing that thinking, talking thing. First of all, you're not a really good talker. It's not like you're charismatic or anything. It's not like you created a couple of genres that shows how lyrical you can be and your lyrical prowess and how you can mix and match metaphors and similes and double entendres and maybe even triple entendres. It's not like you created a couple of genres that show you could do that. I mean, I'm just saying, right? And it's not like you're really good at freestyling that stuff either. It's not like you created a subgenre of the genre where you do that against each other for fun, like it's a sport. It's not like you did that. I'm just saying, right? Stop doing that thinking and talking thing, right? It's not like one of the most famous speeches on the planet was written by a black man and recited by a black man. I'm just saying that part. It's not like we got Martin Luther King or anything. I'm just saying because you stop doing that thinking. Just do. Just work. Just do. Right. Get out of the realm of thinking for yourself. Get out of the realm of advocating for yourself and for other black men and boys. Get out of that. Your job is to be this sex toy, is to be this mule or ox That's your job, right? Once again, the beast of burden, right? And once again, it's not just black women saying that to black men. It's the entire society, including other black men, saying that to black men, right? Because black men can't be prolific thinkers. Y'all ever listen to Baldwin? Forget his sexuality. Y'all ever listen to Baldwin? Prolific thinker, and a really good one. And get right to you, right, when he speaks, or when he different thing. That's why they made a whole documentary about him, right? And God forbid, once again, your thoughts are for the advancement of specifically black men. We're not gonna, really get into the fact that advancing black men automatically advance black women because black men look out for black women. We're not gonna get into that, right? Because black men, when they get married, they primarily marry black women. And black men, because we're men and it's frowned upon to talk bad about black women in public and women in general in public, black men don't do as much talking down about, because people want to bring up hip hop, which, by the way, once again, much of that's a response to the insanity of the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, but okay. The thinking gets to doing, gets to the advancement of black men, which gets to the advancement of black women and children. But yeah, we just not gonna even talk about that, right? So we're just gonna ignore the fact that black men have been calling out identity politics, may not be using that terminology for the longest because they saw how intersectionality was getting in the way of the advancement of black boys and men, which would advance the entire black society, not just black girls and women. So black men have been anti identity politics going back to at least the 80s. I guess because we didn't actually use the term identity politics, it doesn't count, that part, right? And maybe black men saying, this protesting thing, we're not completely anti-protest, but maybe we should use it more sparingly. Yeah, because nobody cares about what black men think or say. So, that part, right? Black men being the beast of burden has so permeated the black community, right? Like, I'm just thinking about so many rap lyrics. It's insane, right? Many of them throwaway lines, but many of them, like, no, he meant that, right? Let us not forget what Kanye was telling Charlemagne years ago before he went on a sway and said, "You ain't got the answer, sway," right? He pretty much told Charlemagne, "There is no poor righteous teachers. That's not a thing anymore. I can't be Malcolm. I can't be Martin. Now you have to shine. You have to have the money before anyone will even consider listening to you. And although I do not completely agree with Kanye, I know where he was coming from because he's partially right. Because even in the black community, the question, what have you done? Beast of burden. What have you done? That's a cute concept. Whatever. What have you done? Noam Chomsky have been giving lectures for forever. Forever. Right? No one has asked Noam Chomsky what has he done. And I actually like that example that Diallo gave because that was a perfect example. Because I know when I was on my Noam Chomsky kick, I was watching every lecture. I went back to watch his debates against some of the scholars from back in the day in the 80s and the 90s. You know, and that's what Noam Chomsky does. And I don't recall at least even once. Maybe it happened. I'm not saying it never happened, but how often did out of how many thousands of lectures and conversations and interviews Noam Chomsky has done? How many times has he ever been asked? So what have you done though? I mean, like, what have you done? Okay, you've questioned capitalism. You questioned the U.S. Nation state. You've questioned all of this. You were anti-Iraq war. That's cool. What have you done though, Noam? Right? Because Noam, yeah, that's cute. You have degrees and all, but if you ain't do nothing, does that really qualify you to speak, Noam? Mr. Chomsky, does that qualify you? Right? Black men, on the other hand, eventually somebody gonna ask you, what have you done? Right? The sisters online telling you, what have you built? Notice I didn't say asking you, they're telling you, what have you built? It's not a real question. It's a rhetorical question. They're telling you, what have you built? They're telling you you're conquered, right? And thank you, no one, and no one. Thank you for the super chat. And no one says, excuse me, no one says, very powerful message today. Breakfast on me. Breakfast is on me. Thank you very much, bro. Thank you, and good morning to you too, bro. Right? But that's a real question, and it's something to consider. Um, Although I thought we're not supposed to be really thinking, right? And it's black men that are really forwarding and pushing the concept. Like we're playing around with the concept more and more over here that white women have become the standard, not just the beauty standard, because we don't have that inferiority complex over here, but the standard of how you comport yourself. They are the model student. And if a white little girl is the model student, then what does that mean for black boys? They're not white and they're not a girl. If the way a white girl or white woman comports herself has become the standard, does that not explain how some LGBTQ move in this society? Does that not explain how certain women that are non-white women move in this society? Does that not explain when men, regardless of color and creed, when they want to, present themselves as non-threatening, how they move in this society? But black men are not supposed to be really thinking and pontificating and having these thoughts and actually speaking about these things with each other and kind of trying to tease these things out. Yeah, that's not, you're not supposed to be doing that. Nope, nope, nope. Your job is to just do, right? Your job is to just do. And Indigo Flow says they don't even ask black men why. Why ask you why? You're just supposed to be doing. Like I said before, these people have the unmitigated gall to speak about them being the ones muling over black men. Yeah, that's it. Muling for black men. Yeah. Now you're muling for your corporate overlords. That's what you're muling for. You're muling to be recognized by the same white people you secretly love and despise simultaneously. That's what you're muling for. By the way, that's half the reason why you're throwing black men under the bus. Yeah, that. Talk about muling. Muling for who? You weren't brought to America to be the beast of burden, and you're not one now. It's just something to consider, right? And so, I'll pause right here. And shout out to Big Kev, and I read the comment yesterday. Big Kev, I'm gonna try to do something Sunday. I might have an open panel Sunday, but I do have work, so I might try to do that early. That way I could get back to bed and get to work later on in the afternoon. So let's shoot for Monday. I mean, excuse me, Sunday. If not Sunday, oh, see, Raj got a panel. Um, if not Sunday morning, maybe Monday morning before Roger's channel, right? No, Canada says say it louder. Okay, what the part that I was whispering? So the part that I was whispering, if that's the part that you're speaking about, um, and thank you for the super chat, Canada. Um, I was saying much of the reason why black women are throwing black men under the bus. I said under the bus. Excuse me, under the bus is to appeal to white society, right? Black men are like their sacrifice, right? Like their indigenous sacrifice, like indigenous tribes back in the day, how they had like the blood sacrifice. Like black men are being served up by these particular black women as the sacrifice, right? So that's all I was getting at, better yet. Um, and yeah, so I just wanted to kind of give some people some things to think about. Um, Yeah, because like I said, for those of you that missed the intro, this was inspired by the brother Diallo, who's often on Black Power Media with Dr. Jared Ball, and they got into a segment where he was saying, black men are essentially the beast of burden, and you're not supposed to pontificate, and you're not supposed to really be thinking about these things and kind of conceptualizing and like that's what you are. That's who you are. You're the thinker, right? So yeah, you're not supposed to. And it goes to I can't remember who I heard said this, and it was so profound to me. Like I rarely have moments when I'm like, oh, but yeah, this was one of those. And I can't remember who said it, who I was listening to. It was a scholar, but they said, was it Dr. Tommy Curry? Maybe, maybe it was Dr. Tommy Curry, but it was something along the lines of like, even defending your life as a black person is so antithetical to the white supremacist society that it's like, wait, what are you doing? Right? Like like it's so beyond the pale that like you matter so little that defending your life from white folks and potentially taking their life, defending your life is like that's why it's so egregious. It's like, wait a minute, what are you doing exactly? Right? And it's in when you think about that as a black man, you really like you see how this society has put you kind of like between a rock and a hard place, right? Like proving that you're not just this thing that's made to like work to death to provide for everyone actually only reiterates the society the racist concepts about you anyway, right? In a weird way, because you're trying so hard to not be the stereotype, right? Which then your achievements gets thrown back in your brother's faces, right? And that's something to consider. Like for those of us that are doing well, and I've said it on a couple of panels before, but like I had it told to me multiple times, like why can't they be like you, Z? Like look at the way you dress, look at the way you speak, like and why can't they be like you, right? Now I'm not. That's not said to me anymore. I'm blue collar. I grew my beard out, and people would have to get to know me before they get into that. Especially, obviously, when I'm in work uniform and whatnot. But there was a time in my life when I had that said to me like multiple times. Right. And Emerald, this definitely deserves to be highlighted. This is exactly what I'm saying. And Emerald Edge said, and thank you for the comment, brother. And he said, "You're talking about a bully. Why are you standing up for yourself? How is it that you're able to stand up to me?" Essentially, right? Essentially, how dare you defend yourself from me? Know your place, right? It's like someone that hits you and then you hit them back, and they're like, "Did you just hit me?" Right? How dare you hit me? Forget everything that just happened. Forget the red mark on your face from me hitting you or slapping you or whatever, or striking you, however you want to phrase it. Forget that. How dare they don't start it from half a second before when they struck you first. They started at your reaction or your response because that was egregious, right? But when you're the beast of burden, that's your place. And so I didn't want to make it too much of a sobering morning. My apologies, y'all. I just was thinking about it, right? And Indigo, that inverted messianic figure comment is beautiful. Actually, let me highlight that also and mention that. And Indigo Flow says sacrifice. That just adds to my hypothesis about black men being some type of inverted messianic figure. Yeah. Oh, you said I'm sorry. You said figures. Sorry. Some type of inverted messianic figures. Yeah. Yep. And that happens to me, Rogish, right? Pilgrims and niggas be especially yeah, excuse me, be equally stupefied, and it's the best. Fresh responses and encounters. Yeah, yeah. When you know I've and it's insulting. Oh, it's insulting. And sometimes they mean the insult, right? And sometimes they don't. But when you having a conversation with a white person, and they've gotten better, I'm not gonna lie, at least from my experience, they've gotten better at this. And it's like that backhanded compliment of like, wow, you really know your stuff, or like, wow, like what school did you go to? Or like, like it is just because you know random stuff. You know why? Because I like watching the boring documentaries y'all don't like watching. That's why. That's why I always remind everybody like I'm a community college dropout. And I don't say it proudly, but I say it just to be like, I just watch and I ingest a bunch and I reference it with other stuff to make sure that this thing wasn't, you know, lying. And I just know things because I care to know, right? I know things because I care to know. And like, I have my concepts reaffirmed by black people, by non-black people. When I was listening to Peter Zian and he said, he gets his information from everywhere. And that's the geopolitics dude, the white dude that, goes around kind of giving forecasts about the political environment all around the world. When he said he get his information from everywhere, I was like, yep, exactly. Right? Exactly. You know? And Emerald Edge says, and thank you very much. And he said, some people are so full of hate or status chasing that they forget to breathe. Right? Yeah. It's just because we just know random, and then being part of the Black Manosphere, you just learn even more, and then you get to have conversations. Lest I remind y'all how many streams I've had brought the panel up. Yeah, we talk about the women for like 2 hot seconds, and then the rest of the stream we talk about space, right? We talk about civilizations. We talk about all different manner of things, right? We're talking about history. Y'all know Mr. Z in the cars. We're talking about all manner of things. Same thing with Brother Art New Style Channel, Brother Art of M or Charles Rogish, name it. We're talking about politics, all of that. Like Charles said, multifaceted. But remember, you're beast of burden, so you can't really do that, according to these people, right? No, Toya. Toya. Oh man. Oh, it would have took everything. It would look, man. I don't know what happened to me. I don't know what type of trauma I felt as a youth, but it's something about white women, bro. White man, man. If there's one person that once they open their mouth, I look at them like, what in the F do you want, person? It's white women, right? And let me read Toya's comment. Shout out to Toya. Thank you for the super chat. And Toya said, my white woman boss used the word monkey to two of us yesterday, and she spent the rest of the afternoon in the conference room. Toya, look, y'all hear how Mr. Z speaks. I can be very civilized. And that's this is my default. The way I talk to y'all on panels, jokey, giggling like a 12-year-old schoolgirl, that's really Mr. Z. That really is. Right? But man, I don't know about that one, Toya. I wouldn't be cursing out up a storm, but I know how to hit white women about who their husband probably cheating on them with and how they're gonna age like a prune, right? Like, there's just certain things you could say, you know, and how at least white men got their hands dirty, you just hear, right? Yeah, yeah. I've made look, yeah, I've definitely had to check some white XX chromosome a couple of times, and in a very subtle way, and including small hat white XX chromosome. Short story. Watching was it Israel and Lebanon, or was it Israel and some of the Palestinians? Back and forth, and I happened to be in the kitchen at the same time as this small hat woman who you wouldn't think she was small hat. She looked very Latina. She had a Coke bottle shape, fat ass. Um, she had she blonde out her hair, so you thought she was Latina, but she was small hat. And she said something along the lines of "these people" or whatever like that. And I looked at her. I was like, I'm black, right? And it was the simplest comment ever. It like I didn't say anything, now did I? Right? But that comment alone let her know where I stood and who I probably was allied with. But it was so vague, you can't say I said anything because I really didn't. And by the way, this is like one of those quick, witty, like New Yorker style, like small hat women, right? The quick ones, the ones that always got something to say. I left her speechless. And mind you, it was just me and her in there. Right? And once again, I said nothing, but I said a lot. Right? So yeah, Toya, well, I don't know. Like one of my same sex loving homeboys from high school is the person that got me thinking like this, which is like he said this to me our 12th grade year, and I never forgot it. And Mr. Z is 36 years old. He said, "Z, I have one loaded in a chamber for everyone." Is it pretty much like KRS, right? Like KRS told y'all, he has a battle rap written for every lead rapper, right? And when my boy told me that in high school, that stayed with me even up to this day, right? And so like if I work with her in any capacity, I'm probably always gonna have the subtle jab loaded in the chamber. And knowing it's a white woman, I'm probably gonna have 3, 4, 5 of them ready. Because like I told y'all, ain't nobody sneak this like white women, bro. Right? It's a different breed, right? Yeah, it's a different breed, and I could imagine, like and that's why I I've said this. I do think black women need to work on their insecurities in the presence of non-black women, particularly white women. But I never think that black women are exaggerating about white women and like their proclivities and their sneak disses and all their underhanded comments. I I I know black women are telling the truth about that shit because I've witnessed it. you know. So yeah, black women might, as a group, because I'm not saying all, but as a group, you know, be work on that insecurity, especially concerning black men and white women. Not all of us, and I would argue not even most of us, are like hell bent on ending up with white women. That's a figment of y'all imagination. That's some delusional insecurity stuff. But yeah, when it comes to like white women and they sneak dissing and all that other stuff, yeah, I ain't with it. So see, yeah, nah, nope, can't do it. No. You see what I'm saying, Dr. Thunder? And Dr. Thunder, exactly, Dr. Thunder. And Dr. Thunder, and thank you for being up here. And shout out to Kev C. I'm a compliment that super sticker in a minute. Dr. Thunder says every Becky got Karen potential. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Dr. Thunder. That's all I'm saying. For real. Right? And that's why I look at certain black women that aspire for that as very dangerous. That's why I keep on going in on divestors, because they want that social power, right? And as a matter of fact, when Jason Black was going in on Jess Pearl, I it, I would have appreciated if he went more into, because he mentioned it when she mentioned the whole Karen thing. That's super dangerous, bro. He mentioned it, and he spent a couple of minutes on that, but that might be a stream. But no, it's a waste. I'm not going to do a stream on that, because I've watched other people, including white women, do a really good job on explaining why Karens are so dangerous. So yeah, there's no need for me to do a stream on that, because there's some really good content. I might actually share some in my community tab about why Karens are so dangerous. And so when Jess Pearly said that, I was like, right? So yeah, I agree with Dr. Thunder. Yeah, every Becky got the potential to be a Karen, and that's their social power, right? That air quotes soft power of just complaining and nagging and potentially getting someone harmed or killed, um, because this white woman want to flex her air quotes soft power, um, on usually a black person, namely a black man, right? And Kev C, thank you for the super sticker, right? Yeah. It's crazy. That's yeah. So shout out to you, Toya, you know, for probably being the consummate um lady, and going to the right people and kind of getting that handled. Um, I would argue I would do the same thing. Oh, but she would have heard a couple. There would have been a couple of slick comments thrown her way before that. Yeah. But she definitely, oh yeah, Mr. Z would have turned up his inner white. Oh, you want to play white woman victim? Oh, watch this, because I know your play. I'm gonna close all your doors. Don't worry about it. Ain't no way out, right? So yeah, and God, and nothing annoys. I'll end out with this. Nothing annoys Mr. Z more than white woman tears. Oh God, white woman tears. Ugh. You know what you can't weaponize against Mr. Z? White woman tears. Ugh. The sound alone is traumatizing just thinking about it. All right. Shut the F up. Okay. And on that note, forever. Thank you, Rogan. Rogan said, I'm going to close all your doors. Hella classy, fam. For real. That's all it is. That's all it, because I already know. I already know. I'm not leaving you no exit. I already know. I already know the play. Right. I already know the play. And yes, I make space in knowing that I still live in this society, and you can be 100% right and play it all by the rules and still get out whited because you're not white. So clearly you're gonna get out whited. So yes, I made that up just now. Just saying. Um, y'all go ahead and give me my money for that, my copyright. But yeah, so you could get out whited, especially as a black person and a black man on top of that with this beard that I have. Yeah, definitely. Um, and so I make room for that. But that battle is gonna be had. That battle, I'm not gonna let you just walk all over me and then play damsel in distress and victim and turn up the white tears and play plausible deniability, and you didn't know the weight of your words and you didn't know what you were saying and you apologize and etc etc. Yeah, no, nah, nope. Right. So yeah, I'm gonna close all these doors. There's no exit, and this is only gonna go one way. Yeah. Right. So okay, everyone, on that note, gotta run. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. I don't know if Dr. Thunder's gonna start something. Um, you know, Trail said, Trail said, whited. Is that like being blacked? Hopefully not. I mean, I know there's some divestors that want to be whited, but yeah, right. Hopefully not is not the same thing. We'll find another term for the white version of black, right? Well, we already got the term for that, right? It's called ghetto gaggers. Oops, right? So yeah. So we can leave whited where it is because we got another term for the black version, the white version of black, right? So once again, love, peace, and chicken grease. I'll pause right here, and y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. For the love of God, and y'all have a great rest of y'all day. I'm missing something. What did I miss on my outro just now? Pause, love, piece of chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere, non-Manosphere content. Yeah, I got everything. Okay, I got everything. All right, everyone. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out. God damn. Last thing before we go. See, well, I don't know if y'all got it, but I just got the link, the notification from Professor Black Truth about CNN making a right ring turn. I told y'all. See, I said it. I said it. Did I say it? I think I said it. I said it. I think I said it on another stream. Yeah, CNN's going more centrist. I knew it. See, because it's on the title. So when the thing popped up on my phone, I saw it on the title. I knew it. So I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna get off with y'all, and I'm gonna go listen to Professor Black Truth, and then if Dr. Thunder's playing, I'm gonna go over there. But yeah, so let's y'all go do y'all thing. All right, Mr. Z out. I'm just rambling now. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Peace, everybody.